has been your most enjoyable part about being a school counselor?
Oh, the gossips.
You didn't see that coming, did you? Gossip.
Yeah, no.
So
kids,
gossip comes to you as a therapy.
yeah, like kids just come and share their stories. Like, Miss, do you know how you like they tell me so many things, but then I can't say, I can share. Yeah.
Oh.
Like, so we talk like, oh, so we gossip about. So I don't encourage gossip, but then you tell me like what's happening in school. Like, niece, do you know? Then I'm like, oh yeah. So I get to hear a lot what is happening in the school.
Get that.
Yeah, but I can't share it. So you just sit there. We put it all down there. So it's it.
The most challenging bit about the school counselor.
Well, I would say sometimes choosing, sometimes students can share with you the deep stuff that they're going through, choosing to let it stay there and not carry it with me at home is the hardest, because maybe I just want to carry this child along with me, or keep on checking on them, and probably maybe think about them when I'm at home. But just choosing like, no, what to share this with you, Helen, and we found a way to help you move the next step and a way to be a bit here. That has been really challenging. It's a challenging aspect about school because I'm required to do that for my own self-care and my own mental well-being. But sometimes I just want to carry those situations with me, for a prolonged period of time. Yeah, so that has been challenging.
Hi, Kellen. Hi, Debbie.
I really took a long time.
Thank you. I have been great, busy, exploring, learning, doing lots of work, and happy to be here.
Yes. I remember the first time we met was a while back, and you're doing an amazing stuff at that time. Walk us through what Psychologists Kenya is all about.
Thank you. So Psychologists Voice Kenya is an online platform that I began during the COVID-19 period. I remember we were in a state of anxiety as a country, actually as the world. And in that place, I thought, what can we do to help with that state of anxiety, the unsettlement, and all that? So I remember the platforms I am in, this is I mean as psychologists and as counselors, I asked people who would want to do sessions to create awareness on mental health issues around this season. And people volunteered. And so we had a program and we began having online sessions through Zoom, and we tackled so many topics, and we had a variety of guest speakers, including you.
As just a new therapist in the blog, and I heard about it, and you welcomed me, of course, and I was able to facilitate some of the sessions. So that was really, really amazing at that time. Yeah,
it was. And thank you so much for coming and helping on board. So that's how Psychologist Voice began, and it grew organically very quickly. And I really appreciate all psychologists who came on board as a presenter, the facilitator. It helped in a big way. I am also an employed psychologist. So that time I was a bit on a break from work. So when I went back to work, I had to see how to balance the two. And I thought, let me take a break from this. I also went back to school. I went back to school for my PhD in clinical psychology, And that was a bit of a stretching experience. I finished with the most rigorous part of it. And so I'm like, okay, where is Psychologist Voice? And what can we do with it now? So here we are.
Let me take you back. When you said Psychologist Voice Kenya, at that time when you bought the idea, what did you have in mind? Did you know that it was going to grow as it did?
I didn't know exactly what would happen. I simply knew I had seen a gap in terms of, especially we have very many counselors and psychologists, and they have a lot of wealth and experience in knowledge, and that is mostly amongst us. Beyond those spaces, people don't know anything about mental health, or they know very little. So the idea was to give psychologists and counselors a platform to be able to come and share their knowledge, their experiences, just what they know. Some have written books, some have been in the field for very many years, and just to be able to learn from them, and also for what they know to go beyond the psychologists and counselor spaces, to go out into the normal Kenyan Wananchi and even across the globe, I'd say. So
that I also benefited from that platform because there are many people that I met, including you, who had not known that already is a field. So just that exposure helped me personally to grow in the profession. So that was then of course you mentioned the fact that you had to get a full-time job and then you went to school and pursuing your PhD. Then why now for you?
it's a personal decision, in the sense of I realized that career growth. So, clarification: I had the job then, but the COVID period was a bit slow. So when we were able to now go back to the normal way of living, now the busy work schedules kicked back in, and so I took a bit of a break. So why now? I realized that career growth is diverse. It's not one clear cut path or journey. So as part of career growth for me, but also still the same gap exists, that there are many people who would want and could benefit from having the knowledge around mental health. And I still have access to very many psychologists, very many counselors, even beyond Kenya. Can we be able to give them a platform to have those conversations? Then now be like a bridge from the psychologists, the people who need receive provision and benefited.
Yes, Nyeri, of all the places. Yes. How is it for you that just starting this out from Nyeri?
It's humbling. It's humble beginning, starting, but it's exciting as well. I look forward to the adventure of also bringing psychologists' voice from across the country. So today we're in Nyeri. It's warm and chilly in between. And I'm happy to meet you as one of the counselors who's based in Nyeri and share the work you're doing here in Nyeri. And so being able to also help people across the country see that we have access to mental health across the country. So whether you are in Nyeri, I'm in Chirinyaga, if you are in Tarakaniti, if you are in Meru, if you are in Murang'a, you can have access to good quality mental health assistance and be able to benefit.
So I'm hearing you say that Psychologists Voice Kenya is not just you going around in the big cities. It's saying that mental health is available and there are people who are doing their work in the small cities and hotels in the country. So you're going to go around and just bring out the voices that are feeding those towns?
Yes, eventually. Eventually, I'd want to be able, because when we're doing the online platform, I will be interacting with this from across the country, literally across the country. And still, I would get requests from people across the country asking, can I see a counselor in Mombasa? Can I see a counselor in Kisumu? So if you're able to meet counselors who are in various parts of the country and have conversations with them, people then get to see that I can be in Nyeri and I meet Miss Debbie for counseling sessions, or anybody else who's doing counseling in Nyeri. So yes, I'm being able to help people access mental health, the information, and the qualified professionals who offer these services.
So who do you see probably maybe listening to your podcasts, and who do you think will be your audience?
I'd say everybody and anybody. It's welcome to anybody and everybody, because from experience from the past, I realized there's a very huge need for awareness on mental health. People are thirsty and hungry for this information. So the feedback was from across the world. So the immediate people I know would benefit is from fellow psychologists and counselors, because you want to know who is in your area, who is doing what in the places you're living, who can I be able to refer, who can I consult, who are my peers in that locality. But also for just anybody who is in Kenya, you want to know who are the counselors who are available in my region. And because we'll have a variety of topics, which we did even then, we had so many topics we covered. So being able to see the topic that we're addressing today, does it speak to me as a person, depending if maybe the issues I'm facing with or what I've seen across the country. So I would say it's open to almost anybody.
Yes, I really like the aspect of that as a therapists that also benefit from it, because in the area I'd be curious to find out that there are no other psychologists here, who are the psychiatrists, because when you talk about referral, I don't have to reach out to someone who's in Nairobi. Probably maybe I can just reach out to the people who are around me, and then you work as a team. So that's really profound. So I look forward to benefiting from it as well.
I mean, I hope you enjoy.
Thank you. This, you must have taken courage. Congratulations, coming back for Casperage to be part of this experience. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Debbie. And I'm happy that you get to be the first one to do this. I'm so excited. Me too. So I have to say how I met you. We can do that, yeah? So I met Debbie Psychologist Voice platform. That was like 6 or 5 years ago. Yeah. And then later on, you transitioned. So I think this now goes over to you to tell us how you transitioned. And also, I think hearing from you a bit, how was the Psychologist Voice platform for you? How was that space for you?
So let me jog my mind a bit. I think I just finished my diploma course in counseling psychology. And I had a friend of mine who told me, she's going to have a session in Psychologist Voices Kenya, and I was curious about it. In my mind, I was like, these are professionals who've been here for a very long time. And of course, when I came in, I felt a bit small, because I was like, there are big names in there, but I really enjoyed the sessions. And I think one of the, I asked her whether I could help co-host. And so I think she referred me to you, and then we had conversations, and you're really warm and encouraging, and you psyched me up, And so I took one of the roles as a facilitator. I don't know, that's how we called it at that time. Yeah. So I would help just navigate around the questions and answers with the speaker. So that was really profound for me, because then it gave me the confidence to know, there's something that I can offer as well. So that was really profound for me, just meeting the team that was there, and also working behind the scenes with you, just to ensure that the how do you call it? Was it a podcast? Or how would you?
What's that platform?
A platform, yeah. So that then the sessions were run smoothly. So that was really profound. So that was during COVID. And then right after that, of course, I went into school counseling. Mm-hmm. I did my number of schools in Nairobi, and then I transitioned to Nyeri. I will not have the schools here as a school counselor. Yeah.
So tell us, what does a school counselor do?
School counselor, so I've been a school counselor for the past more than 4 years now. And work with children and adolescents, but also with their parents. So basically what I do is, I'm passionate about listening. What I do is just create safe spaces for children, non-judgmental spaces where they feel listened to and heard. And in a way that listening is not just purely just listening, it's not just sharing the words, in a way that the young people feel listened to and heard and understood, really makes a difference in their life.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And just to be able to appreciate, what is the importance of a school counselor in these settings?
Wow, that's a very big question.
Why is it very, and I believe it's very key, it's very important. Why is it very important for us to have school counselors in today's setting?
Probably maybe it takes me back to when I was in high school. We didn't have such a role well defined. So you find that there are teachers who were, let's say, teaching some subjects, and then they will also be the counseling and guiding teacher. So you had them doing both, and it was very hard to trust, But what the difference between just having a school counselor specifically meant for that role is that then students can see this person, and not only the person, but also because there are teachers there as well. But they have this one adult who's not part of that who's not a teacher, but someone they can truly trust. So having a trustworthy adult who's just there purely to listen to them and understand them without judging them and offering that space is very important for any child who's developing. So especially in cases where maybe a child is in a boarding school, of course, they would want to have that space. But also even if a child is not in a boarding school, just having that person who I can go and tell my secrets to, and I will not tell anyone, it makes a whole huge difference. So as a school counselor, then when I go to the students, I help them understand that, I'm here to listen. I'm here to offer that space where I can listen without being judgmental. But then whatever it is telling me, I cannot share it with the principal or the teachers. I'm going to keep it confidential. Unless, of course, I also even the restrictions or the boundaries around that. If you hurt yourself, or if someone hurts you, or if you intend to hurt someone else, I can't keep that to myself. But everything else we'll talk about it remains here. So just having a sense of assurance from someone, an adult, together with maybe the parents at home and some teachers who are their favorites, it just adds to the list of that a child has. I can go to mommy and daddy, or I can go to my favorite teacher, and I can also go to the schoolhouse. So it helps really create a community around the child where they have someone, a trusting adult they can go to. Yeah.
Thank you for that. What has been your most enjoyable part about being a school counselor?
Oh, the gossips.
I didn't see that coming, Debbie. Gossip.
Yeah, no.
So gossip comes to you as a therapy.
Yeah, like kids just come and share their stories. Like, Miss, do you know how you like they tell me so many things, but then I can't say I can share.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, so we talk like, oh, so we gossip about. So I don't encourage gossip, but then you tell me like what's happening in school. Like, Niece, do you know? Then I'm like, oh yeah. So I get to hear a lot what is happening in the school.
I also get that.
Yeah, but I can't share it. So you just sit there. We put it all down there. So it's it.
It is very interesting. True. Very true. I agree. The most challenging bit about the school counselor.
Well, I would say sometimes choosing, sometimes students can share with you the deep stuff that they're going through, choosing to let it stay there and not carry it with me at home is the hardest, because maybe I just want to carry this child along with me, or keep on checking on them, and probably maybe think about them when I'm at home. But just choosing like, no, what to share this with you, Helen, and we found a way to help you move the next step and a way to really be here. That has been really challenging. It's a challenging aspect about school, because I'm required to do that for my own self-care and my own mental well-being. But sometimes I just want to carry those situations with me, for a prolonged period of time. Yeah. So that has been challenging. Yeah.
And I think that applies even for adults as well. Since there are cases which come our way and they feel like, yes. Okay. Thank you, Gobats. So now, I have a question. One of the things that I normally come across is young people when they are going back to school, either when they are opening school, most people, the ones who are in boarding, they are opening school, or they going back from midterm. I've seen sense of anxiety that the children have, and just being able to want to hear from you, what is it that a parent can do or a guardian can do to help their child when they are going back to school? So that on one hand, yes, they must go back, but at the same time, assuring them that even with the anxiety or whatever they are sucking them, that the parent is here and is aware of their concerns.
That's a very good question. So first of all, it's very normal for any human being to feel a sense of uncertainty when you either going to a new place or just from an, so it's, first of all, let me just clarify that it's very normal for a child or any adult to just feel that sense of like, oh, I'm going back to school, especially in a school setting, because what I've noticed with children is in a span of 1 month, things change. Friends transfer. Drama happens during the holiday. Some teachers are new, some are old, they're new school goals, So there's all these things that are moving. So in that dynamic space, a child already knows that they might find that sense of dynamic in school. So the case of like, oh my goodness, how will I handle that? Okay, so there's that sense of anxiety around that, but also the aspect of like, oh, for example, like this is a child leaving home. There's a different level, especially in a boarding school. How the home environment is differs from how school environment is. And of course, in a school setups, we try as much as possible to make it feel like it's a home away from home kind of meeting, but still home is home. So there's a sense of like there's a comfort and structure. I can see my parents every other day. They keep on checking on me in many different ways, but I'm going to be away from parents. So that in itself brings that sense of anxiety. So put that together with the fact that they're going to be this sense of dynamic in school would make someone feel like I don't know what to expect, So that is very normal. Or for example, a child who's at school or has been at school for a while and is going home. Sometimes even the other children who are feeling anxious, just I'm not going home. For they also don't know the dynamic around home. Will I find mom tired, mom burnt out, what will be the relationship like between mommy and daddy? Just even that dynamic at home, especially if they didn't leave. If they left home not having that sense of certainty, being certain about what's happening at home will make them feel anxious. So maybe what parents need to know is that it's very normal. So how you navigate around those emotions is what really matters. And I like the fact that you brought in the aspect of the conversations that you can have that can ease in the process. Maybe not really remove it completely, but just to help the child process the emotion that can be the navigation around the breaks and old school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I want to get up from there to the conversations that a parent can have with their child around the transitions, either to school, from school, midterm break. Now we are on midterm. And they come home, and for most parents, at least our days it was, the results, how are you doing academically? And just want to be able to see what else can a parent be able to check about their child? What conversations can a parent have with their child to be able to assess holistically how this child has been faring across the term?
So it's interesting. I think what came into mind when you asked that question here, when you're about to go for midterm, the students already know what to expect from the parents because they know. So I know that my mom always asking about academics, so I get anxious about that. Oh, my mom doesn't care about it, or my dad doesn't care about it. So they already know. They're prepared. So they're not prepared in terms of like the emotions that come with it. They anticipate it. So that can also cause a sense of anxiety or none. So it's like, oh, if my mom and dad don't even check on me, why should I bother? So they will not even think about it a lot. So I think it's also very helpful to know how your child's perception of you when they come home is already have it hasn't known you for a while. So that's fast. But then
Baby, how can I know my child? What can I ask to get to know my child's perception of me? What can a parent ask?
I think that all can be, maybe unless you're playing games, because you like, for example, let's say, because you cannot ask directly for them to tell you. It has to be like either a random night where you're asking yourself questions like, what do you think? How do you think mom will respond or dad will respond in just such a situation? So because it's a role play kind of thing, it will come out without the pressure of like, he might take this, I did this, or maybe when you have like other family members around. So it comes off like it's not a serious setting per se. But if you ask them directly, they'll be like, mommy or dad, why you ask me? It's happy. Yes. So, but in terms of actually, I know families where they have play dates and night dates where they play different games. So usually that setting really favors a very good opportunity for such conversations to come up where there's no sense of like, oh, this might be taken against. Yeah. So yeah, that is a really interesting question. It's a really good, interesting question to find out from a child. Yeah. So good to have
thinking, what question do I have of my parents now? So currently, where we are, just again, Matt's issue of what conversations can a parent have, or what questions can a parent have to be able to assess how their child is doing, and sort of like give a safe space to this child to be able to express themselves beyond the academics. This is how I'm doing, this is how I'm faring, this is what I want my parents to know about me. Yes.
So I think what's coming up for me is, so we have parents who have their children coming back home to them every single day. And then you have parents who, of course, their children are in boarding school. The parents who have their children who are coming back home to them every day, I know that the dynamics of, you're going to work every day, you don't get to interact with your child the way you would want to, like on an everyday situation, because you're living for work and they're leaving for school, and by the time you're coming, they're tired and all that. So midterm break offers like a prolonged period of time where you can, maybe have meals together So what I would say in that context, but also so in that context, so it's helpful for both parents who have their children in day school and those in the boarding school. So when they come, you have more prolonged time with them. I would say that any human being, including the children, they have different dimensions of wellness, So your child spends a whole day in school, or his child has spent 1 month or 2 months in school. There is how their life looks like in school. How does that look like? So, for example, I'll give an example. When I have sessions with the students, we have class sessions, I normally check in with them. What has been the emotions that you felt maybe the course of the week, what has been most challenging, what has been most difficult. So emotional well-being can be one of the aspects that parents can just find out from their child. Like, for this past 2 months, which kind of emotions have you experienced? Then hear those emotions out, then try to find out, okay, what made you feel this way? What made you feel that way? How did you cope with those emotions? Because there are many things that maybe happen in a school setting that as a parent, you don't think it's a big thing. It would be a big thing for them. But you're like, you just lost you lost your calculator. Need another one. But for you, you don't know what situations or all that. So just finding out what are the emotions that were there and how the child navigated around it. So I think I will talk about emotional well-being.
I love that the way you brought it out, that you can ask them what are the emotions you've experienced during these 2 months. Is it possible to pick maybe the exciting emotions, maybe the lower or the heavier emotions as well?
So of course there are many different emotions, and when you look online, actually there are many different categories. So there's the questions like, actually, so I would say that online there are many different charts that show different kind of emotions. I don't know why I got there, but I'm trying to figure out, because there's like a thermometer of emotions. So there's red, there's blue, there's green. So blue is like all these negative emotions, Then you have the orange, which is like happy, excited, and all that. Then you have yellow, which is a mix of two. Then you have the extreme ones, like very difficult, like like deep red, anger, So there are all these emotions. So you can even start by like, which one of these colors did you experience the most? I do that with the elementary school kids. But if you just show them, like, they're all these emotions, which one did you experience? So it's an easy place to start the conversation, as opposed to just saying which emotion did you experience, because they may not be able to know. But if you're able to even just have those conversations in the house, or maybe a chat, like, okay, these are the possible emotions that you can feel in a day. Where did you find yourself the most in the chat? So having something like that and making it a normal day conversation with your child. So by the time they're coming and you're asking them questions, they're not like, where is this coming from? But we feel like in the sense of like, we do this at home, we check in each other of how our emotions were. So having that chat will be very, very helpful. So that is, even for me in sessions, I use that to just like, where are you at today? Yeah, like that. Yeah, using emotional part. Yes. Then connection and belonging is a very key thing for students in school, whether in day school or school. I have noticed that children will feel anxious if, let's say, their friendship group is not functional, if they don't have someone at the top. So having a sense of belonging is a really, really key part to any young person or a teenager. I have this friend, I get to talk to someone. So I think I would ask, the question would be like, how has been your connections? Who have you been talking to a lot this term, or rather these 2 months, or today? Is there anyone that you've were friends and now you're no longer friends? Have you formed a new friend group? Who's in your friend group? Just what you're trying to see is whether a child has a sense of connection and belonging. If your child tells you like, most of the time I just read my book by myself, or my friends no longer want to talk to me or don't talk about that, then it means that they don't have that sense of connection and belonging. So you want to ensure that your child have a sense of connection and belonging, because when they do, they look forward to going back to school to meet with their friend group, So, but that's also a good side. Or if, let's say, one of their friends who was very close has moved away, then they're like, I don't know how school will look like if I used to spend all of my time, my day with them. That seems unimaginable, So just trying to figure out how their connections and belonging look like. Yeah.
Hey, could we also connect with their teachers?
Yes, but most of the times kids don't. elementary school, they look forward to their teachers. They're like, oh, yay, I'm going to see Miss, Debbie or Miss, they do that. For high school, is their friends. So it's not, they don't look forward to like, I'm going to meet an adult, teacher, but they're like, oh my goodness, my tick, my tribe, So for them, and it's part of their developmental stage. They identify, their identity comes from belonging on a food.
Okay.
Yes.
Ah, that's really good. So emotional and belonging and connectedness. What else?
I think I would say, and maybe this should have been the first one, by the way. When a teen comes or a child comes, mostly teens, when they come to me, I normally ask them questions around 3 aspects of their lives. I call them the big 3. How's your sleeping? How's your eating? And how is your moving around? Sleeping, eating, and moving around. Yeah.
Okay.
So sleeping is that if you don't sleep very well, then it will affect your emotions the next day, So you need to find out from your child, what after they go to bed, are they able to stay all through, sleep all through? Do they wake up in the middle of the night and then they're not able to just getting to know their sleeping patterns? You also want
Debbie, what sleep? Most teenagers complain about sleep. They don't get enough sleep. And I know generally most of our schools, the sleep is they sleep for very few hours. So what do you do about that?
So as I said, you have 2 categories. You have students who are in this school and the students who are in boarding school. So students who are in this school, I think I've had parents who, for example, would say, once you're, like when you come back from, let's say from Monday to Friday, you cannot choose your gadgets. So you upgrade your gadgets at a particular space, then you put the chargeable fit. But you're not so sure whether when they go to bed, if they're sleeping. So if, let's say your child is in day school, you still want to have a question, like, when you go to bed at 9 as a family, do you fall asleep immediately? Do you struggle through the night? Or if you don't have that, if it's, putting your phones away and they go do their phones, you just want to find out, do they use their gadgets all through? Because also I find students who are in day school also struggling with sleep as well. For boarding school, of course, most boarding schools vary. And those who don't have night preps, those who are night preps, those who night preps, for the senior school, then not the junior school. So you want to find out, by the time you're released from, you'd say your time to work bed is like 9:30 or 10. Do you fall asleep at that time? So the issue maybe is not necessarily how much time they have to sleep, it's in a boarding school, but it's within those periods, when you get to bed at 10, you sleep at 10 and wake up, when am I to wake up, or you struggle, like, do you falling asleep around 12? So it's more of, yes, I know that the powers are important, but in the context of bodies, in the context of this question, just to find out, within the time that you have, do you go to sleep or for that? Quality of sleep get put here, so it's about important. I think meals as well. I do want to. It's not very sensitive. Their meals. My teenager. Yeah, it is. So like there are students or children who love food. True for them, they would like all meals. They'll be there, eat as much as they can. But those who struggle, those who can choose a particular meal. So you want to find out. Okay, do you get to eat all your meals? Do you sometimes struggle with dinner, lunchtime? But there are those that will skip. So you just want to find out. They actually are taking their meals. And if you're not a parent, sometimes for parents, some of us as parents are not at home. So you're like, hopefully you have an adult, maybe a helper who is able to check in with the child to find out what they're eating. But of course, even if it's in day school, either some of them have their free pack, but also pack meaning that the child is eating, So you really want to constantly check in on their meals, because also when they're not eating very well, it affects their sleep, but also it affects their emotional well-being. So that's what I put on area to ask, or which meals do they prefer in school? So from that, you get a lot of information. And then the last thing is movement. In elementary school, kids love playing. Like they will go out and play, but not all as well. So there are those who would rather not play. So you also want to find out, are you participating in any sport in school? What does that look like? In high school, are you participating in any sport? You want to find out if they struggle to go in those sports, or if they find ways of navigating around not to win those sports. So you want to find out when the school has set aside this time and this time for sports, which sport do you take part in? You made friends within the team, because also I've noticed students who make friendship around their team, then that inspires them to continue with the sports. So for example, if my friends are in basketball, then I want to go play basketball. But if I don't have any friends, I'm like, no, I can't go because I don't have any friends. So it goes back to the connection and belonging aspect of it. You have to find out, are they moving? Because if your child is not moving around, then of course they don't have that sense of like, feeling tired, and then we're then making a trouble with their sleep. But also just in terms of managing weight and managing emotions, that also plays a big role. So I would say those are like the big three. When any of them is out of place, then you're likely to find that the child is struggling with their, mental well-being. I'll also look at negative self-talk. Just how do they think about themselves? What's their perception about themselves? And if unpick this from your child, when you're talking to them, how do they feel about academic? Is it like, oh, I just feel like I'm a failure. Oh, I can't make friends. Like if you just feel like there's a lot of negative talk, when you're like, oh, you're taking something from that. So I think those are the ones that I'll take about belief systems as well. Kids speak a lot from their peers. So you could have a child where, let's say you have a Christian background. I'm just giving it as an example. But then when they become a teenager, they tend to question, like, no, am I believing this is mom's faith or values, so they get up to school and they get to question bars. So sometimes they pick different values, not just even from the friends in school, but from what they watch, so they're like, oh, they might this YouTuber, and this YouTuber is agonistic, or this YouTuber has this belief about women or about men. So they pick up a lot of belief systems, And I've had cases in class setup where kids are like, oh, but they believe so strongly in this and you can't change their mind around this. So you're, did you have any challenges agreeing with your friends because of this and this and all that? So I think belief system and values, just to see what are they picky, what are they dropping, will be very helpful. So I think those are the ones that are coming to my mind.
Yeah, thank you. You used to sleep, X, movement, belief systems, and there's one more forgotten. But yeah, those are really fantastic ones.
I've forgotten life outside school, or so we call it the time away from class, but also for boarding school is just time out of the normal classes. So probably how they participating in any clubs, any activities like outside class work. Do they have life outside lunch? There's some kids who like, no, I'm there with my MOOC, So you want to see people that are socializing in school, and that can be a way to identify that. Yeah. So night.
Say flags. So these are the clubs, societies, these kind of things. Okay. So I'm curious. What if your child is not voluntarily or willing to have that conversation? Maybe they just sort of like, you ask them, they're like nothing. They don't have anything to respond to. They seem not engaged. As a parent, how do you maneuver that conversation? What do you do? Because sometimes it can feel very stuck. The parent is trying to really engage, to know, to follow up, to just know what's going. But the child is very not there. They really don't. So they don't want you to understand. They don't want to they don't want to say anything, and they give very passive responses. Yes.
Interesting that you asked that question. First of all, it's very normal. As I mentioned before, the adolescent stages, kids try to find their own voice and their own identity. And of course, they look at you as a parent and like, I mean, why you ask me all these questions, So it's very normal for teens to feel like that. For you to feel like your teens are disconnecting from you. It's just a very natural and normal phase of life, I would say that it's a process. So of course you'll not go to your teen and ask, all these questions and tip them out, What I found that is very profound for teens, for other kids, they're always willing to share their stories. They're like, oh, mama, in this like this share I'm terrible. The challenge comes with the teenagers, For teenagers, it's relationship. I wish I would say in any other way around. If as a parent, I'm not cultivating that relationship and setting time where I hear that because they are, when it comes to your time to now get information from them, they'll be like, no. So why is it that now it's about you, Ben, when I wanted is your time, you didn't give it to me. So there's only that then it's specific, but I asked it is where as a parent, I am creating I'm developing that safe space. Knowing that as I create that safe space is a time where I'll come and pick from that, So asking such random question when I'm already have a relation with you is easier. Ask about it. But let's say as I'm a teenager, remember, I think one of the things that is very interesting is as parents, you know that you love your child, that you're going out of your way to love your child. And for you, we know that this is the best way to love their child. Yet your child and that I'm like, no, I don't think mom loves me enough. It's a very interesting dynamic with teenagers. It's like, yes, you love me, but I want you to love me this way, you're not loving me. So it's usually a balanced life, This is how they want to be loved, and this is how I think it's to be. So there has to be like a sense of an agreement. So if a teenager feels that they're not is up to me or they're not up as true, but they're not I, then they'll just give you a shoulder, like a very cold shoulder. Even those who parents who do very well, teens sometimes can have those mood swings where you are just talky. Now you don't want to talk to me like I'm a stranger or so that's also very normal. So I think I would put it, I'll help. What I'll not parents know is that it's normal for you to have the struggle, but don't give up. Just watching you creating those spaces, it will pay off at some time. Yeah.
Okay. It's a fantastic one. So creating the spaces where you can be with them. Then
safe, non-judgmental space. And for parents that have noticed it too, they will give you, they'll put something there. Like, oh, mom, I had a friend of mine who struggled with this. Then they just want to hear what each of the means. Exactly, yeah. So based on how you respond, even if it was, like, I don't know, maybe you're tired or it doesn't matter. They just take that and like, this is how mom it was on. And I would never open up.
So perception again has already been formed.
So you also want to throw it back to them and, different options they have around the issue. So they're always picking, like, even when you don't intend to, they pick at the form of perception that is not necessarily the right perceptions of the individual apparent.
Okay. So non-judgmental spaces. Okay. All the best to aspirants. All the best aspirants. We can do it. Thank you for cheering us on. Thank you for that. So I think that, and I think just even as we wind down, so as they come home, as much as we might try to avoid it, we really want to know that the core of why you're in school is academics. So just be able to hear from them academically how they are faring. How can we have that conversation in a way that it is not making them uncomfortable, and also being able to give feedback or raise concerns a parent may have that will be received by the child in a fair.
As a child, if I can choose a parent and I saw that you're interested in my life in school, generally, holistically, then I'll not struggle when the situation or the conversation around academics comes up. Because I'm like, oh, but mom cares about me more than academics. But if this is the only thing that we talk about, then of course there's that sense of defensiveness around that. So for me, I would say, first of all, just make the conversation, make sure that you check on them in all aspects, so they know that academics is just one of the spaces that you need to check in with them. As kids grow up, of course, they get to know maybe which subjects that they're good at, some that they're not good at. So it's also very helpful to know your child in their capacity for the different subjects and what they're interested in. So I think one of the things I would do as a parent is to know, like, okay, let's say we're doing, let's say it's high school. That you even elementary schools and subjects that you're doing, and which are your favorite subjects. So maybe which are the subjects that you struggle in, what's your relationship with the teacher. So you need to find data, not just on these are your brains, like just find out all this data. And then when you do that, I think one of the things that I sometimes I do with students is, let's say last time you got a B. Let's say you got a 60 or a 68. And then when we meet and we're looking at your scores, you're like, oh, you got a 68, but now you got a 50. Where would this be coming from? Oh, you got a 68, but now you have a 90. What do you do different? So then you talk about academics subject per subject based on where they were and where they are and where you're taking them to. So more of setting goals. So I see that you had a 50, now you have a 32. What are the challenges that you got? So then you're not stuck in like you should have gotten a B, but then you're not looking at, oh, I had a 15 out of 68, but last time I wasn't so very, I didn't perform very well in statistics, but now all the questions around statistics are really good, and I've performed well in it. So you really want to look at the grades. What is the area? Is it a topic, a topic that they failed? Is it a topic that they didn't understand? So then academics is, yes, it's obvious, but you have all this data that you can gather from. So by the time a child comes back to you and tells you that, mommy, in biology, let's say, I got an A, but in English I got a C, you don't question the C, like you don't focus on that. Like, oh, what made you? Is it the teacher? Is it the content? So there's a way you can talk about academics without pushing, like it has to be great or boiling down to like A, B, C, E. So I think for me to be, we set goals together. So yes, you got a B. So what are we looking forward to next tab or during the next exam? What should you do differently? So you work with them. So then conversations are, this is what you agreed, then this is where I got. So it's an easier way for a child to feel like, yeah, we had this conversation, and did I do my part? Did I not do my part? So I would rather a parent has conversations about academics from that angle as opposed to a blanket, like, you should have gotten an A, you should have gotten a B. So treat every subject as our own, as your child having a different issue, the different subjects is.
I love the part where you start in the favorites. Because everybody wants to talk about what they're good at. So, and everybody has something they enjoy or they're good at. That sounds like a bit disarming, like a warm space, because like a safe space to begin a conversation. Favorite subjects or the ones they enjoy, the teachers they enjoy, they love. Yeah, okay. Then also, I love that you're saying, beyond the grades, what is informing the grade? And that is good because it informs both the good and the high and the low grades. There is more than just a grade. What is informing the grade? And as you say, which if I see a particular score, what is informing that score? That's a very good way to approach the academic topic. Thank you so much today. Anything else you'd want for parents to know when they are with their children during the midterm break?
Well, parents are doing a good job. Sometimes it's very easy parents to beat themselves up, and not to see, because during the teenage years, you can feel as though you're pouring into it and can't see anything tangible. So possible this job, clearly the parents are doing a good job, and just spend time with your child. It doesn't have to be like 24/7. A teen can spend even 30 minutes or 10 minutes, but they can tell whether you're fully present with them and connecting with them. So they're not children. For example, for teens, they can tell when you're fully there and listening to them. So they're not looking for quantity, they're looking for quality. So if you can find ways of just getting in the slots where you just spend time with them when they just feel like, you put everything aside and you're giving them attention, that matters. It doesn't have to be like 3 days or 4 days. You can just be like, just as for 30 minutes, 5 minutes a day, just spend time with them and get to know them. They're willing to share. Teens are willing to share. They're just looking for someone who is willing to sit down or listen to them.
I love that quality time. If it's 20 minutes, as long as you attend to even focus on them. Thank you so much for your time. I have learned a lot. It's lovely engaging with you. And thank you for the good job we do as a school counselor. And I look forward to having more engagements with you. Thank you so much. Karibu sana. Haya.